So that's going to be interesting. And there's some other interesting things that you can expect this offseason. I'm not going to lie. So, my first one, this would eliminate a major transfer portal need if, the opposite decision were to happen. But I believe your Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to stay. I mean, I don't think you decline the Kansas State bowl game way back when if eligibility and all this time as a starter wasn't at the top of your mind. I mean, at that point, you would have took the moment with everybody watching. You wouldn't have had a wide receiver play quarterback in John Trey Kirkland during Coach Armstrong's final season. I think the fact that Garrett Nussmeier made a decision like that, it's not very indicative. It's not 100%. It's not, all of the decisions made. It just seems like, okay, he's going to value his time here specifically and in this role. He had 1 year as a starter, and I'm not saying it wasn't a good year. I think it was pretty good. I do think he can build off of it. I do think, his best is yet to come. And coming back, having the same developmental program, having the same type of, you know, work and mindset and just overall path like a Jaden Daniels or potentially someone like a Joe Burrow. You return some other pieces around someone like a Nussmeier. Maybe you get Harold Perkins back. Maybe you get an Aaron Anderson back, a CJ Daniels back. You get some pieces where you can actually start pushing and getting some momentum. And I'm not saying that LSU needs it. I'm not saying that LSU screwed without it. What I am saying, though, is that if Garrett Nussmeier returns and, an Aaron Anderson, a CJ Daniels, pieces of that nature, I think you're in a lot better situation. Another thing that I'm not going to say is prone or probable to happening, but it was something that wouldn't necessarily surprise me, and that's a new play caller. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean Joe Sloan's gone. I don't know how that situation is going to go. This is just, hearsay at this point. I would say I wouldn't be surprised because, Bryce Underwood obviously decommits. There's not much anchoring a Joe Sloan to LSU. I had previously hypothesized that Joe, being the offensive coordinator going forward is pivotal for keeping that commitment. But now you're not really politicking for recruits anymore. Now you're not really trying to keep the relationships and the connections together, especially if the player's not even coming in the end. And I'm not saying that's the final straw or the straw that's going to break the camel's back per se. However, if there is a decision that has to be made for coordinators, it's obviously going to be made on that offensive side. I think Blake Baker saved himself. He obviously turned over this defense rather quickly. I'm impressed by the defense, and I think they're going to continue to perform even with, the departures they're going to face, because I think you target some good players in the portal, and that's my last thing to expect. I think there's going to be a huge push. I mean, you heard Brian Kelly say it. How much more clear can he be? They're going to be aggressive in the transfer portal. They're going to push. They're going to try to replace the pieces that they're going to lose in a Savion Jones, a Braden Swinton, a Zy Alexander, a Greg Penn, maybe a Harold Perkins. Obviously, you want to keep that guy. You want to keep Garrett Nussmeier. You want to keep the pieces that you could potentially retain to make that transfer portal haul a little bit lighter. You don't want to have to go in and grab every single position and every single side of the ball. But naturally, it's all going to be. It's all going to have to come down to the decisions at the end of the season. I think a Garrett Nussmeier would stay. I think a Harold Perkins would lean towards staying, but we've seen some crazier decisions, so it's going to have to come down to what's best for them and their opinions. I mean, I think Harold Perkins has a shot to be in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, like I said, I do personally think his best is yet to come. I think if he comes back, he'll put himself in that much better of a situation to be a top quarterback, to be a top first rounder. I think Garrett Nussmeier could be a top 10 pick, a top 15 pick. Hell, if you have a good enough year and you have 2 years under your belt that you've been doing it and you've been proved and tried and true and tested, you could be a top 5 pick. It's just all about how you're going to, use this opportunity in the path that's in front of you. Yeah, you could get drafted right now, lower first round, early second round, and you could be a backup, developing and learning under, an experienced quarterback. And there's a lot of value in that as well. Some would say that's probably the smartest way to develop a younger quarterback, to not throw them out to the wolves. However, there's been a couple other instances, especially with the last two major quarterbacks at LSU, and Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, where they've kind of forged under the fire instantly. Joe Burrow getting to a Super Bowl in his second year. Jaden Daniels looking to be the offensive rookie of the year. I'm not saying you're guaranteed to have that type of status or, ending if you're a starter at LSU, but I do think it has something to do with it.